So, for our first episode of Pure Talks, we are talking about Star Wars Episode 1. How about that for our first episode? So, the first thing I want to get straight to is freaking Jar Jar. Oh, rip that, dude. What happened to the back screen? What happened? Okay. Sorry about that. So the first thing I want to talk about is freaking Jar Jar Binks. This little character here, as you all see right now with the big floppy ears, is the most annoying thing I have ever seen in my life. When I was watching this movie, every scene that this little guy is in, honestly, in every single scene, he's doing something stupid. One of the main scenes that I was talking about is when Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn are about to ambush the Trade Federation to help the Naboo people get out of that area. They're jumping down, right? They're jumping down off the bridge, and then the next thing you know, you see Jar Jar Binks hanging on the freaking railing. I mean, like, what the frick are you doing? You know what I mean? Chat, by all means, you guys comment on this if you want, and I'll read it off chat as well. You guys have everything to say about that, but like, I mean, the next thing you know, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are freaking slashing the droids, and then you see freaking Jar Jar in the background just falling. Like, it's just like you see like a wow. It's so annoying. But I know people like Jar Jar, some people don't like Jar Jar. I mean, me personally, I just found him to be completely annoying. Just I was like, why? I was like, why? Why is he even in this movie? Too much comedy. If he was in this movie, I mean, even though he is right now, if he was in this movie a lot less and he had those things, I'd be okay with it. But no, just no. I mean, like, a lot of the stuff in this movie, I'm not a huge fan of. There's very little that I like. Probably the only parts that I like was the music and the end fight. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just how I thought about it. Now, normally in these talks, we would have people join us, but I guess, you know, it was kind of last minute. I was like, hey, Friday, let's just go ahead and start doing something on Monday. You know, we're going to put out a Pure Talk just for the heck of it and see how it goes. So that's why we're doing this. We're going to be talking about Star Wars Episode 1 for this talk. As you can see, we've got the trailer in the background. Look at that nice and crispy trailer. I believe this came out in 1999. I was very young when this movie came out. Another thing that I realized was when they were in Tatooine, I literally set a timer on my phone. Literally, I set a timer. And the timer for when they got there until when they got off was like 48 minutes. So they spent like 48 minutes on this planet. Like, when they got to this planet, it was just like a shoo. It took a little while for them to get back up. Palpatine. Palpatine's another guy. Let's see. He spices things up, is what someone's saying in the chat for Jar Jar. That Jar Jar spices things up. I mean, I guess in a way he does, but I think he does it a little too much. Like, he's just doing everything, you know? He's like the Joker, but like times 50, you know? It's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. He was just there for the kids. People were saying that too as well, which I do agree with that. I mean, a lot of this stuff is aimed for the kids. You know what I mean? Just a bit for Jar Jar. Just a little annoying. So, back to Palpatine. Palpatine is a crafty little guy, and we'll see that in the next 2 episodes as to what he does. See, this is the reason why I like Palpatine. He's like Shikamaru. Anyone out there who knows what Naruto is, even, like, you know, he's like always 10, 15 steps ahead of the people at all times. It's crazy. Basically how I see it. And I don't know if this is actually a thing that happened, but he uses the Trade Federation, right? He uses the Trade Federation to kind of, in a sense, pressure what's her face? the queen into basically taking action about, you know, like, not wanting her people to constantly die, because I mean, at the very beginning, you got the huge Trade Federation ship hovering over Naboo, you know? They're hovering over Naboo. And right, I gotta go for a bit. All right, cool, dude. So yeah, the Trade Federation ship is hovering over Naboo, and basically they're constantly sending troops down there, and they're killing her people. You know, so she's like, and the whole Republic isn't doing Deadly squat. Deadly squat. So Palpatine sees that, right? Palpatine sees that the chancellor, the current chancellor down there in Coruscant, because that's where the whole, what do you call it, meeting area, I don't know, I can't think of the word, it's where they all meet, right? He's not doing anything. He's not doing a single thing to help her out. So once they finally get the Queen Amidala, you know, she was at one point trapped on Tatooine. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but she was trapped on Tatooine, and then they got out, and then they're back in Coruscant, right? And then it comes to a point where Palpatine is doing his little, he's doing his thing, you know what I mean? He's doing his thing. He's like, by the way, this chancellor is not helping you out. So what does he do? He's like, we got a vote for a no confidence to get him out, so someone can somehow get in there. And maybe Palpatine did something back behind the scenes that we don't know. Maybe he killed people. For all I know, I don't really know much about this, but this guy is a crafty little guy. I understand enemy references. Okay, anyway. So where was I at? I completely lost my place. Right. So somehow Palpatine ended up becoming the Chancellor. Right. By the end of the movie, he ended up becoming the Chancellor. Spoilers. He ends up becoming the Chancellor, right? So he uses that power, right? He obviously says to Amidala, you know, this guy's not going to help you do anything. We need to do something to get him out. And so it comes to a point in the scene where she's like, I vote for a non-confidence, or a no confidence vote. I think is what it's called, a no confidence vote. Anyway, so everyone else agrees with that. They're all like, yeah, vote now. And then obviously he gets kicked out. And the next thing you know, Palpatine ends up becoming the new Chancellor. By the end of the movie, he becomes the new Chancellor. Someone is in chat saying Palps is the mastermind, and it is so true. He is like the ultimate mastermind right now. It's the reason why things happened the way they did. So that happens, and then that's how you end that story for Palpatine at this current, up to this current point. That's how he's ending with at the point. You see what Jar Jar does? Jar Jar does nothing. He did nothing. Just, I don't know. He's just tagging along, man. He's like that little backpack. He's going like, say, let's go. You know, from Dora the Explorer, the backpack. Let's go places. Not really. Actually, the backpack was a lot helpful. So never mind. Disregard that. And now, so we're going to go back and we're going to talk about Tatooine. Tatooine, in my point, is like, in a sense, but not exactly 100%, but in a sense, is like Canto Bight from The Last Jedi. You know what I mean? It's there for a certain reason, but it kind of lost its way along the path, basically. You know, they basically went there to pick up Anakin, who's a little kid, which we're seeing right now. Anakin, he is to go and, you know, become a Jedi because, you know, he's the prophecy, as they keep saying. Look at that Darth Maul, so sexy. So they end up getting there. They get to Tatooine, not Coruscant, sorry. They get to Tatooine, and as another plot adding thing that they do, they need parts, but they also don't have credits to get those new parts. So they're kind of in a wreck, you know, they're trapped. They can't get out. So the only way they got to do that is they got to go through the kid, Anakin, who's really good at pod racing, right? Also, another thing about Anakin, that this boy was born of the Force. He was born of the Force, right? There was no dad. That's what she was saying. So Shmi, that's her name. That's the mother's name, Shmi. That's what she was saying. There was no father. I raised him. I carried him. I nurtured him and all that stuff. So why he's like a Force baby. He's a Super Force, Super Force baby. So that being said, we come up to the pod racing. Now the pod racing is a whole other thing that I also did not like. Like, I didn't like it at all. It was too long. It was too long. I was almost tempted to time it as to how long it was, but it felt like it went on for hours and hours. I mean, let's look at Fast and the Furious, right? You don't have a 15-minute race going on. You know what I mean? 5, 3, 4 minutes, 5 maximum is what you need, honestly, just for a race like that. I mean, it got a little, this just went a little too much. You know what I mean? A lot happened. It's too much. It's ridiculous, right? So then we come, and everyone's over there in Coruscant, right? And let me tell you something. I did not finish this movie. I was supposed to watch it Monday, but I did see it, so I'm going off memory at this point, right? They come out of Coruscant, And next, you know, they're going back to Naboo because the queen wants to go back to Naboo because people aren't doing crap. You know, they're not helping her at all. She's like, you know what? I'm going to take this matter in my own hands. Good for her. Good for her. Because when she gets there, there's a whole army waiting for her. Like a whole army. I blocked out another person saying in chat saying, I blocked out that Force baby stuff until you brought it back up. Thanks to the worst story ever. It's only true. It happens, you know. So they go back to Naboo. You got an army waiting for her, and now they're looking for an army. The queen looking for an army, and then they go to the Gungans. Gungans have like a huge underwater base, which I like. I like that. They have like a huge underwater base. I don't really think I remember seeing anything about Star Wars at all happening. Anything being underwater except for the Clone Wars story or the Clone Wars TV show where they were fighting underwater. But that was about it. That was about the only place I remember. And so we come to the last part, right? The very ending. The ending that everybody was waiting for, right? Everyone was like saying, yo, we've seen this character. You just saw his ship. You've seen this character, this guy with the horns. He wears like war paint, but it's not really war paint. That's actually what he looks like. It's like black and red, but he's got horns sticking out. It's like, what about this guy? What about this guy? So it comes to the point where they're up in the palace. They're in the palace, right? And then at this point, next thing you know, Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi are facing Darth Maul. That's the new guy. That's the new guy. And let me tell you, it was choreographed. It was. I was literally talking to my wife about this yesterday. Obi-Wan's doing like some fairy dust stuff. You see him twirling. He's going like, ooh. And he's twirling again. He's going like, ah. One more time. He's like, ooh. It's like, okay, bud. You could have been stabbed anytime between there. I know it's choreographed, but make it to the point where it's choreographed to the point where it actually is going to start making sense. Like in Star Wars Episode 3. Don't get me started. It was a cool fight, but up until a certain point, it just went downhill from there. So, oh no, that happened. So, then a sad thing happens when Qui-Gon dies. I kind of really wish that he didn't die, to be honest. I really didn't. I wish he didn't die. Seriously, I really wish he didn't die. We could have seen a lot more going on with Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan teaching him the ropes, even though I know it's about Anakin Skywalker. I know. But, I mean, it would have been nice, you know? You have a master and you have an apprentice and you've got, like, another apprentice, you know? And watching Obi-Wan take off would be pretty something cool. But no, Qui-Gon dies. And now you have Obi-Wan fighting Darth Maul, right? And then Darth Maul dies. I mean, I understand why they had to do it. There was probably no other way Obi-Wan was going to be able to get away and train Anakin Skywalker. But, like, come on, man. You can't just introduce a character and then kill him off. That's like Snoke. I can't get over that, and I never will get over that, you know? I would have liked to have seen him more. But hold up. Plot twist. If you watched Clone Wars, he's not really dead. So why put us through this situation where we think he's dead for like more than 10 years and the next thing you know, oh, but just kidding. Darth Maul's not really dead. We're doing a fan service. Even though we got sliced in half. This man got sliced in half, right? Sliced in half. Another thing. We're going to talk about this. We're going to touch on this when we get to episode 3. Darth Maul had the high ground. Yes, he was being cocky, but Darth Maul had the high ground. He had the high ground. Darth Maul should have won, but no. Obi-Wan's gonna like, I'm gonna do a flip, whoop, slice him in half. Next thing you know, he's tumbling. That's it. He tumbles. That's it. That is it. And next thing you know, bam, movie's done. Just like that. I really wished Obi-Wan not would have died, but I really wish they would have ended up in a different way. I'm not quite sure how, but it would have been nice if they ended in a different way, you know. So overall, my opinion on Star Wars Episode 1 is not that good. It is not good. I every time I watch this movie, it's so hard. It is so hard to watch. Like, I was dying on my bed watching this movie. Like, I was like, why did I put myself through this again? But that's just my opinion. That's my opinion. that's going to end the first part of Pure Talks. Sorry if it seemed a little bit buggy. Sorry if it seemed weird, but this is the first time. I'm just trying it out. We're going to see how it goes from there. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe.